In the frontier days of the American West, the Chuck Wagon was a mobile kitchen. In my Agile Chuck Wagon, I have the Agile, the Lean, the leadership, the programming techniques you need to bring your bland software implementation to life. You bring the project, I'll bring the fire. Let's get cooking.
Hi there, everybody. Today I'm going to be bringing to you a real treat. I recently unearthed some of my old archives from the original version of the Agile Chuck Wagon, and this episode is part of that. I listened to it again. I think it's still relevant, and I hope you enjoy it just like I did. This episode of the Agile Chuck Wagon is brought to you by our Patreon subscribers. If you would like to join the ranks of the membership of Agile Chuck Wagon and help support this podcast, please visit us at patreon.com/AgileChuckWagon. And now back to the show. Today's topic is the getKanban game. I love playing games. I've played board games for most of my life now. These days I love to play resource management games like Power Grid. I also love teaching Agile concepts to teams, and I find games are a great way to do that. When people are playing games, they don't typically bring all of the baggage associated with their current problems at work, and they're able to focus on whatever concept or technique that the game is trying to teach. The getKanban game is a Kanban simulation of a software company that is attempting to gain subscribers by producing features. The game takes place over the course of about 12 rounds. It starts on day 9 of this fictitious software company's life, and that happens to be the first day that they deliver a feature into production. The game ends on day 21, and on each day in between, the players are subjected to a different challenge to help illustrate the way that a Kanban team would solve a particular difficulty. The game board is a Kanban board, and it has several columns equating to various states that a piece of software might go through in order to get delivered to production. From memory, they are ready, design, development, test, and deployed. There are 2 columns that have some weight cues. So design and develop are split into design doing and design done, and development's the same way. So you can complete a piece of design and have it waiting for development to pick it up. The facilitator, when they start the game, will go through the features of the board. They'll talk about the cards. The cards each have a number of subscribers that will be earned if the card is completed. Work is abstracted in this game into points. On each one of the feature cards, why there are dots that represent a number of units of work that need to be completed to get a card into the next step. So there are design dots, development dots, and test dots. And if there were, say, 3 design dots, you would need to earn 3 design points in order to move that particular card to the next column. You earn points by rolling dice. In the version of the game that I have, those are standard 6-sided dice. You start with 2 design dice, 3 development dice, and 2 test dice. During the beginning of each day or round, while you are allowed to allocate those dice in any area that you choose. If you choose to allocate a die in its area of specialty, why it counts for double face value. If you have, say, your testers doing design work, they only count for face value. So you get some benefit from specialization in this game. It's a pretty crude way of handling units of work, and in later versions of the game, why they have more sophisticated dice. But I found that it's enough to get the point across without having some of the complication that occurs in later versions of the game, where you have 3 numbers printed on each side of the die that are in different colors, and if you roll it for that particular thing, you use the color or the number that you want. I found that that's more difficult for people to grasp. The game comes with 4 classes of service. Most of the cards are standard stories. If you complete them, well, you get that number of subscribers that are printed on the card. In other versions of the game, the number of subscribers are hidden, and you just get an indication whether you get a lot or a few. I kind of like that better. You also have a couple of fixed date stories that if you complete them by the day that they're due, you get a benefit or you miss out on a penalty. There are also a few intangible stories. Those are things like document the code or refactor the database that don't directly provide you subscribers, but they may provide an in-game benefit. Then again, they may not. That's the trouble with trying to do intangible stories in real life, and that's why coaches often ask you to tie those back to some end-user concern so that you can try to gauge the true value of a story. And the last kind of class of service that they have in this game is an expedite to show you how that works. So as the days go on, why people are allocating their dice, they roll them, they mark on these dry erase cards the results of their rolls, they resolve anything that occurs during that turn, and then they fill out some charts at the end of each turn. The game comes with a cumulative flow chart, it comes with a control chart, and it comes with a financial statement. And I found that as people are gathering metrics in this game and they use them to base their decisions on how to allocate dice, they really begin to see the value of those metrics, and they can see how Kanban can come alive and help them. I won't give away the plot of the game, but there are event cards that get turned over at the end of every day, and they make changes to the scenario that players have to deal with. I've taught this particular game maybe 20 times on 2 different continents now. It's worked out very well for all the teams who participated. They've thought it was valuable. I've been asked to come back and do it for other team members who weren't able to be there. So if you can track down a copy of this game, I would recommend it. It does come in a free print and play edition. The actual printed board is quite expensive, mainly because there's a very limited print run of the game. And at getKanban.com, if I recall the URL correctly, take a look at the show notes. You can actually play an online simulation of this game. I believe it's currently $1 a play. So that's another way that you can get some benefit from this game. Long story short, the getKanban game comes highly recommended. It's time to pack up the Agile Chuck Wagon for now. The Agile Chuck Wagon podcast is written, directed, and produced by Chuck Durfee. Chuck is a software development manager and Agile coach in the Denver area. Thanks to Audionautics.com and freesound.org for the backing music and sound effects. You can reach this podcast on Twitter at Agile Chuck Wagon or by email at chuck@agilechuckwagon.com for comments and episode suggestions. Please also visit our Patreon page to support this podcast and learn about membership benefits. Thank you very much for listening.